They mocked the janitor for sweeping floors, until his daughter's crayon sketch rewrote the city's future. In a glass skyscraper towering above New York, a billionaire CEO was about to lose everything. Not because of money, not because of politics, but because no one, not a single engineer, could see the flaw, except a 7-year-old girl who saw numbers and colors. This is the story of how a forgotten father and a little girl who heard music in water changed the way an entire city breathes. And maybe how love finds us in the quietest, most unexpected places. The rain had washed New York City into a blur of gray steel fog and reflections that danced across slick sidewalks. Inside the revolving glass door of Helios Urban Center, a lone janitor mopped the marble floor with slow, practiced strokes. His name was Noah Reed. 41 strong hands, quiet eyes, and the kind of posture life teaches you when you've had to start over more than once. At his side, trailing him like a silent shadow, was his daughter Maya, age 7. Small for her age, with tangled curls tucked beneath a hand-me-down hoodie, she gripped a piece of white chalk like it was a paintbrush to the universe. Noah worked the mop across the floor in figure eights. Maya slipped out through the side door and knelt on the concrete just outside, ignoring the light drizzle. With quiet focus, she began drawing shapes on the wet pavement. But they weren't doodles. They were numbers, not in order, not in equations. They flowed like water, a river of numbers, each one outlined, then colored in with gentle pressure from her chalk. As she worked, she whispered to herself, 3 is light green, 5 is lemon yellow, but 4, no. 4's not supposed to be red. Inside, Noah glanced through the glass and watched her. He didn't stop her. Maya had never been good with other kids or words or loud places, but with numbers, she saw them and felt them in ways no adult could explain, not even the therapists. She once told a school counselor that even numbers sang in harmony, but odd numbers had sharp teeth. They wrote her off. Noah didn't. "Time to come in soon, baby," he called softly. But Maya's hand paused. Her gaze locked on a panel inside the lobby, the building's hydraulic schematic mounted above the security desk. It was a maze of colored pipes, water pressure sensors, and digital valves. She tilted her head. "That one's wrong," she whispered. Before Noah could ask, a voice barked behind him. "Sir, your kid just tracked mud into the east lobby." It was one of the younger security guards puffed up in his new uniform, pointing at Maya with visible irritation. "She shouldn't be near the panel. It's not a daycare." Noah turned instinctively, shielding his daughter. She wasn't touching anything. She wrote something on a napkin and stuck it near the sensor array. The guard said, "We've got cameras." Before Noah could respond, another voice entered, this one clear, calm, and far more powerful. "Let her speak." The tension shifted. Every head turned. Even the guard straightened. From the elevator corridor walked Elena Vance, mid-30s, sharp suit, sharper eyes. CEO of Vance Infrastructure Group, the woman whose name could reroute millions in funding with a signature. She held a damp paper napkin between her fingers, the ink bleeding from Maya's marker. It showed a simple grid, childlike, but precise. A looped system, one valve highlighted in red. Elena stared at it. "What does this mean?" she asked, not unkindly. Maya hid behind Noah's leg, but her voice came out in a whisper. "It's supposed to be violet. Red means it's going to fight the others." Elena blinked. "I'm sorry, it's too fast. The water, that one's angry. You made the left one carry too much. It'll burst." The guard laughed nervously. "She's 7. But Elena didn't laugh. She glanced at the wall-mounted schematic again, specifically at valve 17B, which had been adjusted that morning during scheduled maintenance. No warning lights showed, no red flags, and yet... She looked back at the napkin. Noah stepped forward, his voice steady. "Sometimes she sees things we don't. She's sensitive to patterns, colors, numbers. "And you?" Elena asked, still looking at the napkin. "Who are you, night janitor?" Noah replied. "Building D, sub-bay 3 through 6. Been here 9 months. Elena's gaze lingered on the man's tired eyes. His uniform was worn but clean. His stance was quiet but unshaken. He wasn't embarrassed. He wasn't selling her anything. Maya tugged gently at his sleeve. "We should go, Daddy." But before they could move, an alert chirped from the control panel. The engineer on duty walked over frowning. "Ma'am, we're actually getting a pressure spike in the southwest loop. Might be a sensor issue. Or maybe not." Noah said nothing. Neither did Elena. The guard cleared his throat awkwardly. Could be a coincidence. Elena didn't answer. She tucked the napkin into her pocket. Her eyes met Noah's once more. Something thoughtful flickered behind them. She gave a short nod. "Walk her out safely," she said, "and make sure no one erases that schematic just yet." Then she turned heels, clicking across the lobby as she disappeared into the executive elevator, still holding the napkin with a child's warning. Outside, the rain had stopped. The chalk river was still there, faint, fading, but the red 4 was glowing. The bell rang like it always did, sharp too loud, echoing off beige lockers and squeaky tile floors. Room 208, 3rd grade. Inside, Maya Reed sat in the back row, pencil untouched. Her test paper was blank. Ms. Granger, a well-meaning but overworked teacher in her early 30s, collected the math quizzes with a warm smile that barely masked her fatigue. "All right, everyone," she said. "Pencils down. Time's up." She moved through the rows, glancing at numbers scrawled in all directions, some right, some wrong, all at least attempted. But when she got to Maya, her smile faltered. "Sweetie," she said gently, "you didn't answer anything." Maya stared at the paper as if it had betrayed her. "I did. In my head." Ms. Granger crouched. "But you didn't write anything down." "It was too easy," Maya said flatly. "I got bored." The teacher blinked. "You got bored?" Maya nodded, still expressionless. "They're just number friends. 5 and 7 are like twins, but not quite. 9's bossy. But this page doesn't have any hard ones. It's like playing tag with toddlers." A giggle snuck out from a few desks away. Then more. A boy near the front snorted. "She thinks numbers talk," someone whispered. "She's so weird," another girl muttered. Maya didn't react. She just looked back at the wall clock, tracking the ticking second hand like it was a metronome for her thoughts. Ms. Granger stood unsure how to respond. "Maybe next time just write down your answers anyway." "Even if it's easy, okay." Maya tilted her head. "Even if it's easy, pretend it's hard." There was no sarcasm in her voice, just quiet confusion. The teacher opened her mouth to say something, but a voice interrupted. "Miss Granger." It was a mom, Mrs. Landers, wearing oversized sunglasses and holding her phone awkwardly. "Sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but is that the girl from the video?" "What video?" Mrs. Landers smiled. "The chicken and rabbit problem. From yesterday." She tapped her phone and turned the screen toward the teacher. A grainy hallway recording played Maya standing by a corkboard with a poster showing a simple logic riddle. A classmate had dared her to solve it out loud, no paper. "There are 35 heads and 94 legs in a cage of chickens and rabbits." The video showed Maya pausing, frowning, then murmuring 5 rabbits, 30 chickens, because 30 add 2, a crew is 60, and 5 add 4, 20, and 60 please see 20, 80. Wait, no, that's 80, not 94. Try 7 rabbits. That's 28 legs plus 28 chickens. 56 legs, nope. Okay. It's 12 rabbits and 23 chickens. She had solved it in under 30 seconds. No calculator, no scratch paper, just logic rapid fire. The caption on the post read, "Janitor's daughter solves viral math problem without writing." The view count had passed 20,000. "I just thought it was kind of amazing," Mrs. Landers said. I showed it to my sister in Boston. She's a math teacher. She said most college kids would hesitate. Ms. Granger watched the clip again, her cheeks flushed with something between surprise and guilt. I didn't know she could. She can, the mother said softly. I think she really can. That afternoon, in a small office with a coffee-stained carpet, Principal Ravi Patel reviewed the clip twice. Then a third time. He'd seen kids cheat, kids fake, kids stumble into brilliance by mistake. This wasn't that. He clicked his intercom. Can someone find Mr. Noah Reed from Janitorial? Tell him Principal Patel needs a word. Noah arrived 20 minutes later, still in uniform, still smelling faintly of industrial soap and subway metal. He looked calm but alert. I got your message, he said, shaking the principal's hand. Patel motioned toward a seat. I want to talk about Maya. Noah's shoulders tensed just slightly. She in trouble, no. But she's also not where she should be. Patel tapped his monitor and played the video again. Your daughter didn't write a single thing on her test today, but she's solving combinatorics like it's breakfast cereal. Noah nodded. She does that sometimes. Why haven't you told us? Because every time I tried, Noah said evenly, they sent me a pamphlet about gifted programs we don't qualify for, or a speech therapist, or a school psychologist who asks her to stop seeing colors in prime numbers. Principal Patel leaned back, studying the man. She's different, he said not unkindly. She's brilliant, Noah replied. And yes, she's different. The room was quiet for a beat. Patel tapped his fingers. There's a board meeting next week. They'll want to know why a student in our public program is trending online for solving viral math problems. Noah shrugged. Let them ask. Are you prepared for what comes next if this attention grows? Noah didn't blink. I don't care about viral. I care that she feels safe, that she gets to stay weird if weird is what keeps her happy. Patel nodded slowly, respect growing in his eyes. Still, he added, we'll need to monitor the exposure, and someone from the city's education office might want to visit. You'll get a call. Noah stood, voice steady. Just don't make her explain herself to people who never bothered to listen the first time. As he turned to leave, Patel asked one last thing. Mr. Reed. Out of curiosity, did she inherit this from you? Noah paused. I used to fix plumbing systems by feel, not numbers, until people told me to stop trusting my gut. Maya's just doing what I never got to finish. And with that, he walked out, leaving Patel alone with a napkin still pinned to his corkboard, the one with Maya's red valve drawn in soft marker, the one that had saved the building the night before. 42nd floor. All glass, all angles, all pressure. The morning skyline of Manhattan shimmered like a high-stakes chessboard outside the conference room windows. Elena Mireles, CEO of Aquacore Technologies, stood at the head of the table, poised, composed, her navy blazer sharp enough to slice tension. Behind her, a massive touchscreen wall displayed the latest slide of her billion-dollar baby Aquagrid Phase Hui, adaptive flow routing schematic. A pristine animation traced blue lines across a digital city map, pumping routes, fail-safes, pressure valves, backup reservoirs. Her voice, calm, measured. With Aquagrid, we're no longer reacting to infrastructure failure, we're predicting it, anticipating disruption before it even happens. Around the oval table top, brass nodded, engineers, lawyers, investors. CFO Gareth Langley, in his usual smug posture, flipped through printed slides but barely looked up. Jonas Elena said, gesturing to the lead systems engineer seated nearby, You'll take questions on the predictive modeling. Let's make this clean. Of course, Jonas replied, adjusting his glasses. Model runs look solid. Error margin under 0.2%. Outside the meeting room, the elevator dinged. Noah Reed, mop in hand, pushed his yellow bucket cart forward. It wasn't glamorous cleaning 42 floors, but this time Slot was quiet. No suits, no coffee spills, just one hallway, one job. Trailing a few steps behind, Maya wandered in with her sketch pad under one arm. It was Saturday. Schools were closed. Elena's office had signed off on her presence technically after the valve incident. Shadowing her father, someone had ridden. Maya stayed quiet, eyes down, until she saw the screen. From her vantage point, just outside the glass wall, Maya stopped walking. Her brow furrowed. She squinted at the diagram, tilted her head. Then, loud enough to penetrate the hush of executive speech, "That part's the wrong color." The entire room turned. Maya didn't even realize she'd spoken. Inside the boardroom, Elena glanced toward the glass wall. The janitor's daughter. Again. "What did she say?" someone muttered. Noah, already mid-mop, froze. She said, Jonas repeated with a dry chuckle, "It's the wrong color." A beat passed. Then Gareth laughed out loud. "Oh, fantastic. Our billion-dollar schematic reviewed by a 7-year-old. Maybe we should crowdsource the rest of the infrastructure too." But Jonas, curious despite himself, rose from his seat. He tapped a few keys, bringing up the pressure maps segment that Maya had pointed at. Her little finger had hovered near Zone 7, a distribution cluster beneath the East River. He zoomed in. Red valve. Should have been blue. He blinked. Wait a second. Jonas opened the real-time stress metrics, cross-referencing it with the AquaGrid forecast. A quiet, He zoomed again, then again. Elena watched him. Gareth stopped laughing. Jonas turned to the room. The valve in Zone 7. It's marked as a low-flow buffer, but real-time pressure's spiking. Gareth rolled his eyes. So, the system auto-adjusts. No, it shouldn't. Jonas was frowning now. If it misclassifies input as ambient backflow, the algorithm ignores it. That valve could rupture within 48 hours under the current model. He looked up. She's right. The color's wrong. The classification's wrong. Dead silence. All eyes turned to the hallway. Maya was now crouched, drawing on her sketch pad. Noah cleared his throat and stepped forward, embarrassed but composed. She doesn't know the names for things, but she sees them. Elena crossed the room, heels clicking softly. She stepped into the hallway, the door whispering shut behind her. She crouched to Maya's level. You saw the valve was red instead of blue. Maya looked up. Her big brown eyes were calm. It was humming, like red does. It wasn't supposed to. The pressure loop isn't complete there. Elena blinked. You can hear colors. Maya nodded. Sometimes I smell them too. Red's loud, blue's quiet. But it's not about that. The triangle's too sharp, it's not shaped like the others. They're supposed to balance. She showed her sketch pad. It was a child's drawing, but to Elena it looked eerily close to the schematics they'd spent months on. Shapes and lines and color-coded patterns. Only Maya had drawn one segment with a jagged spiky line exactly where Zone 7 was. Elena straightened up. Inside, Gareth huffed. This is absurd. We're letting Sidewalk Chalk critique enterprise-grade software. Jonas ignored him. I'm running a full stress sim now. The screen began to animate. Tiny white lines jittered through Zone 7's pipe cluster like cracks in ice forming in real time. A second later, an error flashed Zone 7, system integrity risk 83%. A few gasps. Gareth went pale. Jonas whispered, We would have missed that. Elena said nothing. She turned back to Maya. Do you want to come in? She asked gently. Maya looked to her dad. Noah hesitated, then nodded. Inside the room, every executive leaned away from their chair like a royal inspection was underway. Maya walked in quietly, sketchpad still in hand. She stood next to the giant screen. Jonas cleared a small space at the end of the table for her. Elena faced the boardroom. This is Maya Reed, she said. She's 7. She sees numbers differently. And today she may have saved our most expensive project from a catastrophic misfire. She paused. Then softly, she added, "I think it's time we stopped laughing at what we don't understand." The boardroom's echo hadn't quite faded when Maya spoke again. She pointed at the tangled valve map on screen and said, "It's trying too hard to stay flat." Jonas blinked. What Maya dug into her little canvas backpack and pulled out an object that clearly didn't belong in a billion-dollar glass tower, a snow globe. Its glass was slightly cracked at the base and the swirling scene inside was worn from time. A tiny winter town floated in falling flakes leaning slightly left. But when Maya shook it, something beautiful happened. The flakes didn't scatter randomly, they spiraled, concentrated toward a dip in the snowy valley. "This is what pressure does when you listen to it," she said, holding the snow globe up like a lecture prop. "It looks messy from above, but if you fold it—" She grabbed a printed map of the aquagrid schematic from the table. With gentle fingers, she folded it diagonally, aligning the longest pipe across the central reservoir. "Now look," she said. The sharpest edges in the 2D graph aligned smooth curves emerged from the chaos. What once looked like noise became structure, like origami engineering. Jonas walked over. She just folded the entire pressure map into a parabolic distribution. Maya beamed. "I didn't fold it. The water did. I just listened." Noah stood silent by the door, unsure if he was proud or terrified. Later that day, the executive review board met in a private chamber 2 floors down. It was a smaller room, no glass, just granite walls and frowning men. This was the place where big dreams were either funded or gutted. Elena stood at the head of a narrow oval table, a live sim frozen on the screen behind her. She looked more tired than usual, hair pulled into a tighter bun, jaw clenched. "I know this isn't standard," she began, "but I'm asking for one thing: run the pressure model with the folded parabolic system. It costs us nothing but half an hour and it could revolutionize our flow calibration." Gareth Langley smirked from 3 chairs down. "You're asking the board to suspend a protocol because a child brought a snow globe to work." She corrected a live misclassification, Jonas interjected, seated beside her, and offered a structure-aware reinterpretation of nodal stress loops, something we hadn't caught in 3 months of model tuning. "But she's not a systems engineer," Gareth snapped. "She's a 7-year-old who draws with sidewalk chalk." Jonas pushed forward. "I don't care if she draws with ketchup. If she's right, she's right." The chairman, a stone-faced man named Milner, tapped his pen slowly. "Let the simulation decide. 1 shot. 5 minutes. The lights dimmed. Everyone's eyes fixed on the screen. Jonas typed the new input parameters, recalibrating the pressure map, integrating Maya's fold logic, reassigning stress distribution based on symmetrical feedback curves. He pressed enter. The model loaded. For the first 10 seconds, nothing. Then, slowly, a wave of green began to glow across the digital city. Sector by sector pressure differentials flattened. Red zones cooled to orange, then yellow. The network began to breathe. As if, for the first time, the system wasn't fighting itself, it was aligning. Jonas whispered, "It's self-harmonizing." The fold removed cross-stress from 17 hotspots. Gareth leaned forward, suddenly pale. Then the last segment flickered from amber to green. Total system efficiency, plus 111.6%. Energy draw, 8.4%. Predicted valve failure down 73%. The boardroom fell utterly silent. Then Milner spoke. "I've never seen anything like that." He looked directly at Elena. "Who built that logic?" Elena paused. Then calmly, "Her name is Maya Reed." Outside in the hallway, Maya sat on the carpet with her father trying to fix a broken hinge on the snow globe's base. Noah's hands were rough but gentle. "Did I mess up?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, Peanut. I think you just saved a city." Inside, Gareth stood frozen. His grip on power, the exclusive pipeline deal he'd been nurturing with a third-party supplier, was slipping. The recalibration meant the board wouldn't need his failover package. He had just been outmaneuvered by a janitor's daughter. Elena stepped out of the chamber, her heels clicking with conviction. She crouched beside Maya. "I need your help again," she said. Maya looked up. "I think the pipes in the south sector are trying to tell us a story," Elena added with a smile. Noah raised an eyebrow. "A story?" Elena grinned. "Every pressure line is a sentence, but I need Maya to help me learn the language." The rain outside tapped softly against the window of apartment 3B like a child too shy to knock. Inside, the modest kitchen glowed with warm light. Dishes still sat in the drying rack. A math workbook lay open on the table next to a peanut butter sandwich missing just one bite. Noah stood at the sink, sleeves rolled up, hands in soapy water. Maya sat on the floor, her head resting on an old pillow, clutching her snow globe like it was a lullaby. "She's out," he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. Elena, standing awkwardly near the door with a borrowed umbrella still dripping, nodded. "That fast, always," Noah said, smiling faintly. "Ever since she was a baby. Water puts her to sleep." Elena tilted her head. "Why?" Noah rinsed a plate. The pause stretched long before he answered. "Because her mom was a music teacher, taught piano voice composition. But her favorite thing was raindrops." He looked down at the sink, almost lost in it. Before Maya was born, Julie used to compose lullabies based on rain sounds. She said each kind of rain had its own rhythm, like a signature. She believed every storm was humming a story. Elena said nothing. For once, she didn't fill the silence. She just watched him. "Maya never met her," he said, drying his hands. Julie passed during labor. Complications. A deeper silence now. "I thought Maya wouldn't know her, wouldn't even miss her. But when she turned 3, she started humming in her sleep. Same notes, same rhythm." He swallowed hard. She was remembering something she never heard. They sat together in the living room now. Elena cradled a chipped mug of tea Noah had made. She didn't drink it, just held the warmth. Maya lay asleep on the couch, curled in a blanket, her snow globe on the end table still swirling faintly. From the bathroom, a leaky pipe dripped in irregular rhythm. 3, fast, 1, slow. Pause, repeat. Elena cocked her ear. "That faucet's annoying." Noah chuckled. "To you. To Maya, it's a 6/8 lullaby. She really hears it like that. She doesn't hear water. She hears intention. Patterns. Symmetry. Breaks in rhythm make her anxious. Flow calms her." Elena studied the girl sleeping beside them. Her face looked older when she was at rest, serious even in dreams. And then she noticed something. Maya's fingers were gently tapping the blanket in time with the faucet drip, like she was keeping beat. "Your daughter," Elena whispered, "is extraordinary." Noah shook his head slowly. "She's just honest. The world's still strange to her. She hasn't learned to lie to it yet." But just as peace settled, the phone on the counter buzzed. Noah checked it. His expression hardened instantly. "What is it?" Elena asked. He turned the screen toward her. Front page daily headline, "Janitor's Daughter. Alters $4 billion infrastructure deal. Genius or gamble." Below that, a still photo of Maya folding the pressure map circled in red. Her name, her age, her father's job. Another Pink Channel 6 morning report. Then another City Beat blog. And another Engineering by Crayons Asks political columnist. Elena took a breath sharp. "How did they get this? Someone in the boardroom leaked it," Noah muttered. "Probably Gareth." Maya stirred slightly, eyes fluttering open. Noah tucked the phone in his pocket instantly. "Hey, Peanut, go back to sleep." She blinked. Too loud. Elena's jaw tightened. "We have to shut this down. Now." Noah shook his head. "You can't. It's already viral." She stood pacing. "I brought her into that building. This is my fault." "You gave her a chance to be heard," Noah said. "That's not a sin. It's not a strategy either." a beat. "She's just a child," Elena whispered. "She doesn't know what this kind of attention does." Noah looked her dead in the eye. And neither do they. Back at HQ, Gareth sat in a private lounge with a whiskey in hand. The news alerts pinged one after another. He smiled, faintly watching the reactions spiral. From admiration to doubt to ridicule. He leaned back, dialing his assistant. "Schedule a press statement," he said. "Frame it as a corporate due diligence. Use the phrase, 'protecting integrity of engineering standards.'" He swirled the ice in his glass. "Let the public decide if we should trust a janitor's kid with our water system." Back in apartment 3B, Maya fell asleep again, this time slower, less settled. The faucet still dripped, but she no longer tapped along. And outside the window the rain had started falling out of rhythm. The city's morning air felt heavier than usual. On the subway walls, a headline screamed, "Janitor leads CEO off a cliff, Gareth Stokes questions Elena Jo's leadership after viral kid math debacle." Noah stared at the paper someone had left behind on the train seat. The front page photo had been zoomed in, cropped cruelly, Maya mid-sentence, mouth open, chalk in hand, eyes wide like a caught rabbit. Next to her, Elena blurred, caught in a half-step like she was chasing after something she couldn't reach. Noah folded the paper in half, then quarters, then tucked it into the trash before Maya could see it. But she already had. She sat across from him, lunchbox on her lap, her feet swinging just above the floor. "They made my face weird," she whispered. At school, the air had changed. Kids weren't laughing with her anymore. They laughed at her. "You gonna color your math homework, too?" "Hey, genius, what color is 2 + 2? "She thinks water talks to her. My mom says you're dangerous." Maya didn't cry. She didn't shout. She just walked past them like a ghost in her own hallway. Even her teacher, Miss Larkin, who once gushed over her natural intuition, now spoke to her like one speaks to static electricity, with caution. Only one person broke the silence. Principal Patel. At recess, she found Maya alone on the stairwell behind the cafeteria. A sandwich untouched beside her. A banana going brown. Mrs. Patel sat down beside her knees, cracking slightly. "You okay if I ask you something?" she said. Maya shrugged. "Do you still like numbers?" Maya looked up. "I don't know," she said. "They're different now." Mrs. Patel nodded slowly. Then she pulled a small key from her cardigan pocket. "I used to keep this for kids who needed a quiet place to breathe," she said. "It opens the lab after hours. Just for you. No tests, no talking. Just let the numbers be themselves again." Maya's eyes flickered. "Will I get in trouble?" "Only if you solve the entire state budget by accident." That evening, Noah's phone buzzed. It was a video forwarded by 3 different janitors on his night shift crew. Gareth Stokes standing at a podium, reporters flashing lights. "We fully support STEM education," he said smoothly, "but placing municipal infrastructure in the hands of a child, particularly under the advisement of an untrained janitor, well, I think the public has a right to ask questions." He didn't have to say more. The smirks in the crowd. The emphasis on untrained. The casual gut punch wrapped in polite concern. Noah tossed the phone onto the couch, jaw clenched. "She's 7, he muttered. 7. At 6:47 p.m., the school lab lights blinked on. Maya sat alone at the corner computer. On the screen, the AquaGrid schematics, not the flashy marketing renderings, but raw numerical reports. Budget overlays. Pipe volume rates. District flow simulations. No cartoons, no colors, just numbers. Quiet, honest. She tilted her head. On line 184 of the regional budget, a decimal misaligned. It wasn't red, but it should have been. She traced the number 41.735, 4117.35. Someone had added a digit. Silently, sloppily, but intentionally. She checked the source tag. The change was made 3 days ago, right before the board vote, by someone with access. Maya didn't know how to feel, so she didn't. She just printed it, folded it 3 times, slipped it in her pocket. Then she walked home in silence. Noah noticed something was off the moment she stepped inside. She didn't hum. She didn't draw. She didn't even say hi. Just took off her coat, washed her hands, and went to bed. No questions. No, what's for dinner? Just quiet. Noah sat in the living room staring at the dark. His phone buzzed again. Another article from Janitor's Closet to City Collapse New Audit Questions Cost Projections. He didn't open it. He looked at Maya's tiny shoes by the door, still a little damp. And he thought of Julie, how she used to say silence wasn't the absence of sound. It was the presence of weight. The next morning, Elena found a folded paper under her office door. No name, just numbers. A red circle. 417.35. She blinked, then again. Her eyes went wide. She stormed into the data team's bullpen. Who has access to the AquaGrid revision logs? A tech analyst looked up, startled. Just senior finance, Jonas Gareth, and you. Elena's jaw clenched. Get me the full revision chain. Across the street in a black SUV, Gareth sat sipping his latte, watching the building, watching her, and smiling. It was nearly 8 p.m. when the elevator opened to the roof. The city breathed below them, endless windows glowing like fireflies caught in glass jars. A gentle breeze tugged at Maya's curls as she stepped into the open air, her tiny sneakers crunching against the gravel surface. Noah kept close behind, unsure why Elena had called them both here. She hadn't said much, only that numbers deserve a view. Elena was already waiting near the edge, her hair pinned back by the wind, one hand gripping the rusted guardrail like a question she wasn't sure she wanted answered. "Why are we here?" Noah asked, watching Maya step closer. "I wanted her to see the city she's about to change," Elena said softly. Maya turned around, confused. "Change it." How Elena didn't answer. She just gestured toward the skyline. "Tell me what you see." Maya squinted. "Buildings." "What else?" She tilted her head. "The lights. They move. Go on." Maya took a step forward, eyes scanning the horizon. She pointed toward the glowing towers to the east. That one blinks slower, and that one's flickering a lot. Noah frowned. "They're just lights, honey." But Maya was already walking. She took the sidewalk chalk out of her backpack, the same stubby piece she used on the alley bricks outside their apartment, and dropped to her knees near a patch of concrete beneath the ventilation fans. She started to draw. Elena and Noah exchanged a look, then stepped closer. It wasn't just doodles. It was pattern blocks and beams, loops, and arcs. Maya connected clusters of rooftops by their blinking rhythms, weaving them into a flowchart, a live feedback system based entirely on the pulse of city lighting. "She's mapping the energy grid," Elena whispered. Noah blinked. "She's what," Maya looked up, chalk dust on her cheek. "It's like blood," she said matter-of-factly. "Lights show where the flow gets stuck. You can reroute pressure through these." She pointed. "Here. And here. That building's leaking light, that means they're wasting energy. But if you loop through this side," she added one more chalk line, "you fix it." Elena slowly crouched beside her phone in hand and hit record. "Maya," she asked gently, "what made you think to look at lights like that?" Maya shrugged. "Mom used to say the city has lullabies." The video was only 58 seconds. Elena posted it with a caption. "Sometimes it takes a child from a janitor's hallway to see the city clearly. No corporate logo, no hashtags, just truth." By morning, it had 9.7 million views. Gareth slammed his tablet onto the boardroom table. "This is ridiculous." "People love it," said Jonas, not looking up. "She's trending on LinkedIn, for God's sake. Even the mayor reposted it." Gareth's jaw tightened. "That's not engineering. It's sentimentality. Sometimes those are the same thing, Jonas replied. Just then the doors opened. 3 board members stepped in, serious-faced. Elena, one said firmly, "We need to speak with you, privately." In the lobby downstairs, Noah and Maya sat in matching gray chairs, Maya swinging her feet, clutching a half-empty juice pouch. A receptionist offered a shy wave. She smiled politely. Then the elevator chimed. Elena stepped out. Her hair was still windswept from the rooftop, but her eyes were calm. "They've suspended me," she said plainly. Noah stood. Because of the video, she nodded. "Officially, they say I've compromised protocol." Unofficially, she looked at Maya. "You scared them." Maya blinked. "I'm sorry." Elena knelt beside her. "Don't be. What you did, what you saw, it was more honest than any report I've ever read. But now you're in trouble," Maya whispered. Elena smiled just barely. Sometimes trouble is the price of telling the truth early. That night, Noah tucked Maya into bed. She was quiet again, not like before, but thoughtful. "Dad," she asked. "Yeah, sweet pea? Why do people get mad when you try to help?" Noah kissed her forehead. "Because sometimes help shines a light in places they'd rather keep dark." She nodded slowly. "Then we need better lights." The city lights blinked on outside, and somewhere on a rooftop, chalk lines still glowed faint in the breeze like veins of hope waiting to be traced. The call came at 6:47 a.m. Noah was pouring cereal for Maya when his phone buzzed an unknown number. He almost ignored it. Almost. "This is Noah. It's Jonas," the voice on the other end said. "Don't hang up." Noah blinked. "What city hall's under fire? A main pipe burst downtown Ward 7. The media's already spinning it. And they're blaming her." By 8:15 a.m., headlines were everywhere. Girls' rooftop theory led to 8 Madadois water failure. Single dad janitor's daughter. Behind city grid collapse was the viral map, a miscalculation. Noah felt the oxygen leave the room. Maya, curled on the couch, held his phone with trembling fingers. Why are they saying this? Daddy? He didn't have an answer. Just then, another message pinged. Jonas. Encrypted file. A floor schematic. System logs. Valve history. A single line in the message, check valve 17. City Hall was chaos. News vans lined the plaza. Protesters waved signs, some defending Maya, others demanding real engineers, not kids. Noah and Maya tried to enter the lobby. Security blocked them. Access revoked, the guard said. Under order from CFO Gareth Monroe. She's a child, Noah said quietly, and she's the only one who can fix this. The guard didn't flinch. Noah looked down at Maya. Time for the back door, he whispered. 10 minutes later, they were at the pump station behind the west entrance. A metal fence. A rusted lock. Wait here, Noah said, cracking his knuckles. No, Maya said softly, pulling out her drawing pad. Let me show you something first. She flipped open the map. On the back, she'd drawn a simplified schematic, colorful looping like musical notes. She pointed to a red circle. Valve 17. It's supposed to open at 35 pressure, but someone forced it shut. Why? She looked up, serious, because if it stays closed, it backs up the water line. It bursts at the weakest pipe. Noah blinked. That's what happened. She nodded. They blamed us because no one checked this valve. Noah stared at the drawing, then the station door. All right, he said. You ready? They live-streamed it. Noah set his phone on a utility pole bracket camera pointed toward the valve cage. Behind him, reporters had begun to gather beyond the fence. I'm not a politician, Noah said into the camera. I'm just a janitor. He glanced down at Maya standing proudly with her sketchbook. But my daughter sees things. She sees problems before they happen because she sees truth. He stepped back, snapped open the access panel, and pointed to valve 17. This, he said, was manually locked closed. He turned the metal lever, it didn't budge. Noah reached for his janitor's ring, found the crowbar key, and he forced it open. A blast of air hissed through the pipe. Lights on the board blinked green. Reporters gasped. Seconds later, the control room lights confirmed flow restored. Back downtown, fountains began to bubble again. Fire hydrants hissed back to life. Water pressure stabilized. Someone in the crowd clapped. Then another. Then all. 30 minutes later, the live stream had over 2.1 million views. Elena watched from a hotel room TV. She whispered to herself, he just rewrote the story. Gareth watched two lips-tight fists clenched. Behind him, a quiet voice spoke up. "Sir." It was a junior analyst. Jonas just requested an emergency board session. Gareth didn't turn around. The analyst added, "And? We have proof you authorized the manual override on valve 17. That night, Maya sat on the floor piecing her drawings together like a jigsaw. Noah handed her hot cocoa. "You did it, sweet pea," he said. Maya shook her head. "We did it." Outside, the city lights blinked gently like a system learning to breathe again. The rotunda of City Hall had never been this full. Reporters packed into every corner. The public seating overflowed with residents, some in business suits, some in work boots, some holding handmade signs, "Truth has no rank. Let her draw. We believe Maya." In the center, beneath the vaulted dome of stained glass, stood the circular hearing table, 12 city board members seated like modern-day jurors. At their center, stern-faced and newly emboldened, sat Gareth Monroe. He adjusted his lapel mic. "This emergency hearing is now in session." First came Jonas. He walked to the stand with the quiet conviction of a man who had had enough. He presented logs, valve override records. He displayed Maya's hand-drawn overlays next to real-time simulations. Every prediction had been accurate, every warning she gave had been ignored. Then came a pause. Gareth tapped his pen. Let's be clear. A child's guesswork went viral and a janitor broke into city infrastructure. That's the scandal we're investigating. Someone in the crowd booed. Gareth raised his hand. "We will maintain order." A soft voice spoke next. "Then let's talk about your order, Mr. Monroe." Heads turned. Elena Jo stepped forward. She was no longer in her designer blazer. She wore a simple navy coat. No makeup, hair tied back. But her presence silenced the room. "You had me removed from the project," she said calmly, "for listening to a child." She placed a folder on the desk before the board. In that folder are 3 separate warnings I submitted signed by Jonas, time-stamped by engineering that you blocked. Why Gareth didn't blink? Speculation. Elena smiled faintly. Then let the janitor speak. Noah stood next. He walked with measured steps, his work boots echoing on the marble. He didn't carry notes, just a small cloth in his hand. "I've cleaned these floors for 16 years, he began. "I've seen city leaders come and go. I've seen waste that no mop can fix." He looked up at Gareth, then at the council. "But whether it's coffee stains or budget fraud, the work's the same. You see something wrong. You clean it up." People murmured, then quieted. "I don't have degrees or a corner office, but I have a daughter who sees the world in colors most of us forgot." He looked to Maya. She gave him a tiny thumbs up. She reminded me that truth doesn't need a title. Then he stepped back. The chamber was silent. Until Maya, unprompted, stood and walked to the glass wall behind the board. "May I?" she asked, holding a marker. The board hesitated. Gareth shook his head. But Elena stood. "Let her." A beat. The council nodded. Maya approached the glass, climbed onto the small step stool a janitor had once used, and began to draw. First a grid, then waves, then intersections. She labeled colors marked pressure points, then drew a simple arc folded like her snow globe. "What are we looking at, sweetheart?" asked Chairwoman Ortega softly. Maya turned. "A reverse flow map. If we fold the output line during peak hours, we relieve all stress points. No burst pipes, no shortages." One by one, the council leaned forward. She added a final stroke, 3 dots in blue like music notes. The chamber held its breath. Then Chairwoman Ortega stood and began to clap. One by one, the room followed. The council, the audience, even the city employees in uniform. A standing ovation for a 7-year-old with a marker and a truth no one could unsee. Outside, news anchors broadcast the moment in real time. City Hall just witnessed something extraordinary truth spoken not with power, but with purity. Elena wiped a tear. Noah rested a hand on Maya's shoulder. "I think," Elena whispered, "you just changed the rules of the room." The City Hall lights stayed on long after the hearing ended. Outside, the streets buzzed with energy horns honking in celebration, strangers applauding as Noah and Maya stepped down the front steps like local heroes. But inside, in a quiet corridor near the Utilities Committee office, Jonas was doing one final task. He had just finished replacing a wall sensor with a hidden recording device, something he'd hesitated to do for days. But after watching Maya draw hope into existence, he'd decided enough was enough. He stepped away from the wall just as Gareth's voice echoed from the corner office. "And I told them, let the kid draw rainbows. I already moved the kickback line to Q4. They'll rubber stamp it once Ortega signs off." Another voice chuckled, one of the contractors. Jonas tapped the record button. 5 minutes later, the security feed was live. The board members were summoned back. Elena, Noah, and Maya stood in the corner watching the playback on the conference screen. Gareth's voice rang out loud and clear. "We'll tag it as leak mitigation. Move the surplus to my consulting LLC, same one I used for the West Loop job." Easy. The room went still. Chairwoman Ortega rose from her chair like stone lifting from water. "Mr. Monroe," she said, voice trembling with both anger and regret, "you are under arrest for conspiracy fraud and misappropriation of public funds." 2 uniformed officers stepped forward. Gareth scoffed. "You're arresting me because of a janitor and his little art project." But no one answered him. Maya was drawing on her dad's palm again, tiny shapes of water drops and hearts. Outside, the press exploded. This time the headline didn't mention janitor or child genius. It simply read, "Whistleblower team brings down corruption at City Hall." Later that evening, back inside the glass-walled lobby of Aquagrid headquarters, Elena stood in front of a giant touchscreen, her presentation for the full relaunch just days away. She looked tired, proud, and uncertain. Noah approached quietly, holding a damp rag from his belt loop still dusted with faint blue chalk from Maya's earlier drawings. "I guess this place is yours again," he said gently. Elena smiled faintly. "The board offered me full control. PR wants to spin it. Some want me to sue. Some want me to run for office." She let out a tired breath. "But none of that feels real right now." She looked down. "I just wanted to do good work. Fix something." Noah looked at the screen behind her, the glowing model of water flow she had once defended when no one else would. "You did." Then he reached into his pocket. It wasn't a gift box. Not flowers, not a check. Just his hand. Rough, calloused, strong. "I don't have anything fancy to give you, Miss Joe," he said quietly, "but I've got these hands, and if they're ever useful, if the road you're on ever gets heavy or muddy, I'll be there to help clean it." Her eyes welled up. Not from exhaustion, not from stress, but from the weight of being seen. She placed her hand gently over his. "You already have," she whispered. Maya appeared then, yawning. "Are we going home?" Noah picked her up, cradling her like he used to when she was smaller. Yeah, kiddo. We're done making waves for one night. As they walked out, Elena turned to the touchscreen and typed something into the project name line. The old title disappeared. In its place, she typed Project MAIYK, Mathematical Allocation for Yield and Access. Then, almost as if the city responded to that one simple truth, the fountain outside turned on, softly lit by midnight lights flowing smooth and uninterrupted for the first time in weeks. The city fountain burst to life at exactly 8 a.m. Not a sharp spray or a sputter like before, but a smooth layered cascade of synchronized water rippling upward and folding back in precise, graceful arcs. Blue lights shimmered beneath the surface like veins flowing through the heart of the city. Aquagrid was officially online. From uptown to the forgotten edge of the West Loop, residents turned on taps and marveled. The pressure was right, the temperature consistent, the flow steady breathing. For the first time in months, the city felt peaceful. A few hours later, a community gathering filled the rooftop of the municipal building. Foldable chairs, homemade banners, a sound system borrowed from a school choir. Nothing fancy, but everyone was smiling. At the center stood a new plaque to those who saw what others couldn't. Truth flows where hearts are clear. Mayor Ortega stepped to the mic. It's easy to talk about heroes after the fact, she began, but real heroes don't wait for titles. They act when something feels wrong. They speak even when their voice is small. And sometimes, her voice caught, they mop floors and sing lullabies while saving a billion-dollar city. Laughter, applause. She turned toward the group standing beside her, Elena in a cream suit, Maya in a sparkly dress that still had chalk dust on the sleeves, and Noah, hands nervously adjusting the collar of his borrowed blazer. The mayor cleared her throat. As of today, Miss Elena Joe is reinstated as director of Aquagrid. Thunderous applause. And Mr. Noah Miller, she continued, is offered a new role if he chooses to accept it as the head of clean and safe operations for all public-facing buildings in the city. Noah blinked. Elena turned to him, her eyes soft. It's not a promotion, she said. It's a partnership. I'd like to build this city with people who see the world from the ground up. Maya tugged at her dad's hand. Say yes, Daddy. He smiled and nodded. The crowd roared. As cameras flashed, Elena reached for Noah's hand. It wasn't a subtle gesture. It wasn't businesslike. It was deliberate, public, affectionate. Their fingers locked, and the rooftop crowd, from engineers to janitors to school kids in field trip t-shirts, erupted into cheers. Noah's ears turned red. Elena just laughed and didn't let go. In a quieter corner of the rooftop, Maya sat cross-legged on the concrete. Someone had given her a tablet and stylus. She was drawing again, not numbers this time, but shapes that spiraled and intersected like orbiting moons. Mrs. Patel walked over. You know, she said softly, I spoke to the district. There's a program for gifted students who think differently, like you. Maya barely looked up. Will I still be allowed to draw with chalk? Only on weekends, Patel teased. Maya grinned. Later that evening, the crowd thinned. Music faded. String lights blinked above folding tables covered in pie crumbs and paper plates. Noah, Elena, and Maya stayed behind to help stack chairs. As they finished, Maya wandered to the edge of the rooftop and looked out across the glowing city. Traffic hummed gently. Distant trains whispered along the rails. Somewhere below, a hydrant hissed with steady pressure. Then, eyes closed, Maya tilted her head. Elena, she asked suddenly, do you hear it? Elena walked over. Hear what, sweetheart? The water, Maya whispered, pointing at the streets. It's humming in blue now. She paused. But there's another note. Noah joined them, curious. What kind of note, he asked. Maya's eyes lit up, curious, not anxious. Wondering, not afraid. It's not math yet, she said. Just a question. No one said anything for a moment. Then Elena knelt down. Well, she smiled. Maybe the world needs new questions. They stood together as the wind picked up, and from the rooftop, as the city exhaled beneath their feet, the three of them stared out at a future still full of unknowns, but no longer silent. Sometimes, all it takes is a child's question to help a city breathe again. Sometimes, the quiet hands of a janitor build a legacy no blueprint could ever hold. If this story touched your heart, if you've ever believed that kindness can come from the most unexpected places, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from today? Is it a quiet town in East Texas, a sunny porch in Florida, or a peaceful corner of Oregon with the sound of rain outside? Let us know in the comments. We read everyone. And if you'd like to hear more stories about love healing and the quiet heroes walking among us, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next chapter. From all of us here, thank you truly for watching, listening, and being part of this journey. Until next time, take care of your heart and never stop asking new questions.